platforming are fascists. It's been on my mind a little bit. So since
Really? Why?
I guess yeah. Well, let me tell you.
Purely academic, I'm sure. There's no fascists here.
I hope not.
I,
Not on this call.
I actually watched that whole Mehdi Hassan Jubilee episode a couple of weeks ago. So there's 20 people and they all race to see if they can crack a skull on the chair, and then they debate until everyone holds up a flag and says you're boring and votes you off. It's, super clickbaity stuff. It's not a great source of discourse. But Mehdi Hassan is a talented debater, and he's debating some people with some pretty far out views, or views that I wish were further far out.
So we talked about this a little bit last week, right?
We did, yeah. I brought it up last week, but it's been on my mind still for a couple reasons. So at one point, Mehdi is talking to a guy who's talking about how great Francisco Franco was and how we should have a Catholic dictator. And Mehdi is like, okay, so you're a fascist. And the guy's like, yeah, I guess I am. And then you
aren't I wacky?
Funny.
And then, I know, he's so quirky. You should have that on his Tinder profile. Is Tinder still thing? I always do myself. It is. Okay.
But if you go down there, you might end up on T, speaking of things we talked about last episode.
So once he realizes that he's talking to a fascist, because he came to debate far-right conservatives, so he realizes, like, okay, this is a fascist. He looks around and sees who's applauding the fact that this guy's come out as a fascist, and he says, like, I don't debate fascists. And then he just sort of stops talking to the guy. And then they eventually vote him off because they're like, okay, sorry, we don't get clicks by you not debating the guy. So yeah, that had me kind of wondering, because for me, the default has always been to openly debate people. But I've heard this before that, this whole concept of that you shouldn't give fascists, for example, a platform. And so me not defaulting to this, I looked into some of the arguments for it. And I'm just kind of curious how you guys feel about this, or maybe you guys have a killer argument for not that Mehdi did the right thing at that time.
I do find this compelling. Like, a fascist is one who doesn't see certain debate opponents as people worthy of response, and I think they're gonna give bad faith arguments. They're somewhat incapable of giving good faith arguments, because at the end of their sort of goals is eliminating huge groups of people. They're not worth talking to.
Right. So basically, it's like that their opinion. Yeah, I guess it sort of has to do with, like, what is the objective of the debate in a way.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Like, do you think that the act of debate requires respect from both parties?
Depends on what you mean. Like, they have to respect the rules of the debate, but they don't have to respect each other.
That's reasonable.
Like, I don't think Donald Trump respected any of his opponents in his presidential debates.
He also didn't really respect the rules of the debates.
Well, yeah, that too. So that's why they were a big disaster, right? He's just talking over everyone, stuff like that.
They were pretty painful. At least this guy, when it comes to, like, whether they were interrupting each other, they were certainly communicating respectfully enough. Like, I interrupted you more just now than the fascist was interrupting Mehdi. So it wasn't that they were being super hostile. Like, he wasn't, like, trying to stab Mehdi right there. Like, he wants someone else to stab him once they take power. But anyway, so I looked up some arguments to see, like, what reasons do people actually have, and I collected a couple of them. I think we all basically agree that, like, the default is that free speech is, people should talk. You shouldn't be, like, preventing other people from speaking, right? You shouldn't be pulling plugs on people if they're just, recording a YouTube show where they debate or whatever. Like, in general, we're pro-free speech. For me, that's, like, the default, the starting point. And, okay, so what's wrong with that is kind of like what I was looking into. And so I think, like, the basic thing is that free speech can be destabilizing. Plato, famously, after being molded into the shape of a cute giraffe, argued that true democracy inevitably ends in tyranny, because people will vote for tyranny. And I think a similar kind of thing.
How wacky. Imagine that.
Yeah. Right, I know. It's hard to relate. But right, yes, when you have a society that tolerates intolerance, the intolerant people can sort of swallow up the tolerant ones. So There is this danger is present in a free society. Here are a couple of the like things that come up in the context of a debate that I think are problematic. We are all anti-authoritarian, and so why would we maybe decide not to debate against an authoritarian? One is the debate format sort of creates this equivalence, right? You're sharing time approximately evenly.
Back to Phil's, you have to respect them at least a little bit to debate them or whatever.
Right, and you're showing respect for them. You're letting them talk. You know, and so this, even if what they say is nonsense, they're getting equal airtime, and it seems like these ideas are equal when you really think that their idea is inferior and it doesn't deserve that kind of airtime. I mean, not to mention the fact that they might just be like a skilled debater, or like they might be a prepared debater, and you could actually like lose in the context of that debate. Like you might not argue well for your side.
I mean, I wouldn't personally take that as a reason not to debate a fascist. Like yeah, you engage in any sort of political discussion, you have a good chance of getting pwned and humiliated. It comes with the territory. But yeah, I think if you're okay, so you respect free speech, right? You're a person who respects. I am. You are. Yes. Okay. You go into a debate with someone who respects free speech, but wants to eliminate that speech for a certain group of people.
Cough, cough, Elon Musk.
Right. Like, is that a debate worth having? Like, so like this person wins, and then they take away the free speech right. So like engaging with this, like you wanted free speech, and you ended up having that free speech impinged by giving this one person a platform to,
Right. I mean, so that's the question.
Take away the free speech.
Giving them a platform. I mean, they don't take away their free speech in the debate, but yes, by like the fact is they exist, and like it's not like you're creating them by debating them. But yeah, I'd say so.
Other people are watching this debate and joining the quote unquote wrong side, then you are creating them.
Let's give it some patriotic language, and then maybe it will hit like a little bit more in your feels. So we would call this an inalienable right. And you are engaging in conversation where someone is thinking, maybe this is alienable. Like, do you want to engage with this person? I'd say no.
Yeah, so I think this is an interesting point. So for me, I think critical thinking means being willing to question your basic assumptions. And I think that includes things like democracy and more. Like, I think that it's healthy for people to do that. Now, I think most of the time you do that and you come away saying like, wow, like authoritarianism is a terrible idea. like what if you're not in the in-group? Like, what about those other people? Like, there's something, what if the authoritarian like just decides that he doesn't want to hear like the real job numbers, and they just mismanage things because they're insulated like idiots? Like, these things. So I feel like a little bit of critical, like, it's okay, and actually we all should, and I suspect all three of us have looked hard at the question of like whether democracy like makes sense at all, and we've basically come out and said like, yes it does.
Usually after an election. I think it's something of a tradition.
Right. So yeah, I think so. Here I'm gonna move on to my quotes section. I had a few good quotes related to this. One is from everyone's favorite Scrabble word, Slavoj Žižek. He's also like a Marxist philosophy professor or something. Anyway,
a friend described him as his favorite stand-up comedian, Slavoj Žižek. Slavoj.
A normal, healthy society does not debate whether rape and torture are acceptable because the public dogmatically accepts that they are beyond the pale. Okay. And so he's kind of making this argument that I've seen in a couple places that you don't platform or you don't debate a fascist because, like, it's actually the way that our society functions is that people do dogmatically believe in democracy and believe in the American system.
Yeah, and what a great case study we have. We have a fascist rapist in power. These things that should be beyond the pale, like, they're up there, and they would be pale if not for all the orange makeup.
Even with torture, it's a good thing that we by default think like torture is horrible, and like the American teenager who's never thought about it twice. If you just like ask them like, is torture like okay? They'd be like, no, what the hell? And then you'd be like, well, think about it. And then I think it's okay for someone to think about it, but then they'd, most likely come back to, yeah, like torture. It's like maybe in some really extreme cases, but like, no, like we shouldn't torture. So anyway, so I feel like there's like, we have the, whatever is a widely held view kind of becomes a dogma to people who haven't reflected on it in depth. But like, that doesn't mean like that people shouldn't reflect on it in depth. I feel like, a well-rounded adult should have reflected on most of these things in depth. And so it doesn't bother me to see someone who maybe reflected some and just came to some like wonky conclusion, and to see them debate and then just think that, okay, people who are going to watch this will now reflect some. I'm okay with that. In America today, the dogma is kind of gone. So there's some argument that like this guy is making. This is a good thing that the society has this dogma, and so we shouldn't be like showing people questioning it because we want to maintain the dogma. So anyway, I'm not a fan of that point of view, like that it should be a dogma, like an unquestionable thing. Like I think it's perfectly healthy to debate whether torture is okay and then conclude that it's not, and then you don't have to talk about it all the time.
It's a load-bearing pillar. Your belief in a system where people have the right to express themselves and are treated fairly. This is a load-bearing pillar to the system where you can have these ideas about, I think we should be able to debate torture. You stop believing in the right of representation and the right to speech for all people, then you lose this nice framework where you get to have these debates.
It's the foundational dogma.
Yeah, like I get the yuckiness of this, but like you just need this part, Like you just need that foundational dogma to exist in a society where there can be free speech.
Right. I think, and so I think I agree with you if by dogma we mean like it's the default position, but I don't agree with you if by dogma we mean it can't be questioned, right? Like I think people should totally question, like by all means, think about whether an authoritarian government would be good or not. Some of the founders of our country thought that we should have a king, right?
And some of the worst people in our society are just asking questions. Like it's like
right.
This
and
is
people should ask questions. So that's one thing.
These are fascists, is what I'm referring to.
Right.
People should not be asking the question of like, are the Jews people? That's not a question worth asking.
Right. So let me see. Right. It's a different thing to genuinely ask a question as a person. You ask the question, you think about it, you wrestle with it, you apply logic, and then you come to an answer, and then you do other things. It's another thing.
These are different people. These are different people than you. Like you're engaging with these as if these people as if they are going to also engage in this act of democracy with you. They are not.
Right.
There
so
are people
there are
out there
propagandists
who are
going
seeking
around
to take these rights away from you.
I get that. But so do I think they are bad? Yes. But like if there's a viewer on the internet, whatever, some guy who's learning about politics and just a curious person will ask questions, and they should. And so they should ask questions, then they should think, they should research, and then they should make up their minds, and then they should move on. And so like now, okay, there are the propagandists who are going from venue to venue to venue, starting channels and this and that, and writing books and everything, where they just ask questions, right? Now, they are not genuinely questioning, right? They're aiming to take away, my rights or whatever, your rights, anyone's rights. They're aiming for some authoritarian outcome. And like, yeah, they suck. I really don't like those people. But like, if I'm in this situation where we're talking about like, should we have elections, or how should the government run, or should torture be okay, or whatever, deep dig we're doing into our values and how things should be, like it's okay to pause and talk about my basic foundational beliefs.
Okay, is it okay to then talk about those basic foundational beliefs with these propagandists?
I think it's okay, and you should call them out as propagandists, right? Just be like I feel like going silent is just a very strange thing. It's
Not
like you
silent.
can engage in like a meta.
Not silent.
Mehdi went like literally silent. He's like, I don't debate fascists, and then he stopped speaking. Right, but he went silent. So it's like yeah, I don't debate fascists. Like, here's why. Like, you explain to the
He was
explain to the
literally
audience or
like,
whatever.
he had the intended effect. Like they voted him off because he wouldn't engage with that person. They wanted him to engage. He actually did the thing in the way that you're supposed to do it. Like, that person, that fascist, that admitted fascist, was only going to get platformed by talking to Mehdi. And by Mehdi not talking to him, he didn't get a chance to say more of his hateful shit and undermine our shared democracy.
I mean, he's super famous now, right? Like, I mean, we know what he looks like.
If
He's
he
been,
hadn't,
like, that clip has been played a bajillion
if he
times.
knew ahead of time and didn't talk to him, he wouldn't be famous. He wouldn't
Sure,
have gotten
yeah,
the chance
so-
to say these things. He wouldn't have had like $50,000 from a Kickstarter. It was the correct decision to not talk to him. If he knew ahead of time, he wouldn't have, and would have had the intended effect. He made the
that's
mistake of going out there and debating the
Right.
far right, which in America right
Sure.
now is fascists.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, even like going on a Jubilee style show is like, right. I mean, how constructive is that ever going to be? But,
Well, you found
and
out.
any debate for entertainment's sake, right, is gonna have a similar problem.
I say we go one step farther. I don't talk to debaters.
I just have
Right, and-
on this issue. I feel like I have the worst possible curse, in which I kind of agree with both sides. Like, it does seem like, so philosophically, you should just be able to like debate any idea, right?
Yeah, but we
And,
don't
like,
live in
I-
a philosophy textbook. We live in America.
Exactly. So it's like, but also, so like, what's the solution?
Well,
You
I
know?
say you pull the lever so you run over the 5 people on the one side.
So here, yeah, in my opinion, the solution is to just whoop this guy's ass in the debate. Just make him look like a
You
fool.
had me at the first
Don't go-
half.
Just bend him over the podium, dude.
No, it's just like, it's like,
If
I don't
Mehdi
know.
Hassan wasn't half his size, that could have been on the table. But also he was surrounded
and like
by
surrounded
19
by
other
30
fascists.
others, right?
And
Right,
I
it's
know a
just
certain
like-
superintendent who might like to watch the video. That
They're kind of kinky,
Superintendent?
but yeah, I mean,
yeah,
in Oklahoma,
the board,
Oh, yeah, right,
superintendent of the
right,
board
right.
of education.
separate episodes. Everyone's
I
confused.
pierced the veil.
Okay, couple other things here. I don't know why. Well, let's see. Yeah, I forgot to mention as like a major problem with our free speech is that a major weakness that we have is that it is abused by foreign adversaries who want to weaken our society. Very easy to find examples of this all the time. I found a couple interesting examples recently. China was targeting some pro-democracy activists in the UK, just sort of on the internet trying to sick sort of right-wing radicals after them.
Like
Russia has
Chinese
been using-
pro-democracy advocates?
Yes, like Hong Kongers. Is that the word for a person from Hong Kong?
Yeah, Hong Konger. You're right.
Also, Russia has been peddling misinformation on both sides of the Israel-Palestine conflict, trying to radicalize Americans to try to hurt us as a country.
Yeah, their track record is pretty good on that. If their objective is to just make Americans mad, they put in propaganda on both sides of the election. They put in propaganda for both sides of Israel, Palestine. They're good at it, and they have a history of being good at it.
I have another quote by a guy named Harvey Silverglate, the co-founder of the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, and I'll go more after them. His quote is, "I'd prefer to know who the Nazis in the room are, so I know who not to turn my back to." So he's very, very pro free expression to an extreme. In fact, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE, is very active in this area. They've collected a database that I looked at of campus deplatformings. And so I did a little bit of data digging, and I thought it was kind of fun. And I can show you some of the summaries. But yeah, so I am a little curious how I don't know if you guys think that a debate, like a YouTube debate, if it's different, if your answer is different for that than a talk on campus. Because I think even Phil, and Danny, it seems your answer is very different for okay, if it's a private conversation, go at it, question everything. Like, don't worry about.
Yeah, that's not a platform. That's just a person. You're just talking to a person. Like,
Right,
you're not
right.
sending that out for other people as a piece of media.
Exactly. But with a campus, with an on-campus talk, or like a visiting speaker on a college campus, it is closer to that. How do you feel? How do you feel, Phil?
Yeah, it's like half a lecture, right? You've got two opposing lectures fighting it out against each other.
A debate is like half a lecture.
Yeah, in a college setting. It's like you have two lessons in opposition. A dialectic, if you will.
I will. Right. So I'm kind of curious. So like if let's say the guy who debated Mady was coming to give a talk on your college campus, or like let's say the Young Republicans Club invited him to come give a talk. How would you feel about an effort to get that talk canceled? By say like writing an op-ed saying to cancel it in the newspaper, or protesting out front of the dean's office, or whatever it is that college kids do to try to
I say fuck yeah. He's allowed to give the talk, maybe. And they're allowed to say he shouldn't be able to give the talk.
Yeah.
I mean, people
well, they're allowed
listen
to
to the
say it.
sides and decide what
I'm
they want to
asking-
happen.
I don't know. I mean, I like protesting if it comes. Like, you can go protest outside, show yourself in opposition to what's going on in the room.
But you wouldn't like consider it acceptable to like shoot him to prevent it, right?
Well, I kind of like that more than stopping the speech. No, I don't know.
Right, or like say like physically like preventing them from entering the building, right? Or like not just talk protest actions.
I don't know. I've never really liked this movement, like blocking speeches from people going around. Like, I don't really like that.
It's
I
interesting
wouldn't
'cause
participate.
I feel like you
in-
were on the other side of this before here.
Yeah, so I guess the argument here is that like the university shouldn't be giving them this platform, right? Like they are being treated with equal weight to say like Neil deGrasse Tyson or whatever.
Here's a couple differences. Like, so to compare this to like Jubilee, if it's on a college campus, it's like, you know, if you're gonna be questioning your assumptions, if you're gonna be like doing that, when better to do it than when you're attending college, right? It's like, this is kind of the point of college, is to be learning and to be questioning your views, right? Like, now you talked about questioning the idea that Jews are people, right? Okay, I am Jewish.
Are you a
Okay.
people?
I think so.
All right, it's settled. Debate over.
Yeah,
Like, if people, I mean,
strong
if people
evidence
have
in favor.
if people have a religious upbringing that places their faith high above people of other faith, like, I think if you follow the like logic of your religion, like if you believe in literally the things that the religions say, I think it's a little bit reasonable to go into some very crazy places. Depending on where you're coming from, you'll have your default dogmas, or whatever, the default positions, the thing you've been raised believing, and then, you know, you follow them and hopefully to their logical conclusions, and also you hopefully question them along the way. I don't think it's that unreasonable for someone to go and question the humanity of other people that they have been raised. If you've been raised to think that they're part of this inferior group,
I see.
then
So
like
you're like saying positive questioning.
right, then logically it kind of follows. And so like if someone has that thought and thinks about it and wonders, like that's just like being logical, and hopefully that would lead them to question their assumptions that had led them to that place. But like this is part of just like growing up with dogmas and questioning your upbringing. So this is just the total number of incidents in this database of campus deplatforming. So conveniently, it turned out that blue is from the left and red is from the right, and yellow is
And this
something
is
else.
2024. So
Yeah,
this is
so
like
1998
Palestine
to
action
2025.
then, right? Like that's when the from the left activists got deplatformed the most, or
No,
is it the other way around? Like people on the left
who is deplatforming.
advocated for deplatforming speakers from
Yes.
from the right. I see.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and so I mean, it is a little interesting to see some of the trends here. In the early 2000s, a lot of the
Oh,
deplatforming was
I
coming
see the
from the
Iraq
right.
War on there.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
can also see Trump's first term here,
Yep.
right? Like a big uptick in deplatformings coming from the left. And in recent years, just the whole trend has taken off, or at least the data collection has taken off. Anyway, and here we are in halfway through 2025, and it's neck and neck. Here, this one's not confusing enough. Here we go.
Okay. Nice.
So five.
This is what YouTube is gonna love, dude. Long, complicated graphs. That'll hold the attention span.
They love this, and they hate when I do a silly character. More graphs, please.
Just do not wear a wizard hat, Phil.
Yeah.
Anyway, just so the count of outcomes is kind of interesting. Like, in general, these attempts to deplatform are usually not successful. Like, canceled is a thin slice. Usually when they are canceled, they are not reinvited. The splits is pretty even between public and religious schools and secular schools. From the left and from the right, here the colors got they did not default to the common colors that are used today, but very even split, which is not necessarily what I was expecting, right? Like, both because it's like, okay, I kind of expect the type of people who make this kind of data set to have a libertarian bias, like a Republican sort of favoring bias, but also because I think that I have thought of this as being more of a left-wing phenomenon, deplatforming.
Well, you certainly hear the most bitching from the right wing about this sort of thing.
That's right. And also, partly because, the right wing has a lot more, super insane stuff coming out of it that's worth considering a deplatforming.
Sure, but I mean, they also get mad at I don't know, far left wing speakers, or maybe they're part of some minority group that they hate, so they want to deplatform them for that reason.
There was controversy topics was one category that I didn't dig into because that required better Excel foo than I could get around to.
All right, should we sum this bitch up? Are we almost done here?
I gave my reason, Phil, why I think it's perfectly reasonable to have a different opinion of this for a lecture on a college campus compared to on a debate for entertainment. And so, I'm pretty firmly against doing this on deplatforming on a college campus. I think this is exactly the place to be questioning your assumptions.
Yeah.
But yeah, on debates for entertainment.
With you on that, actually.
I'm really glad we get to exercise our free speech and maybe help to persist this form of government where we're allowed to do that.